What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Armchair Authentic, a podcast with Rhett and Justin, trying to have real conversations about real life with real people. And today we're just jumping into it, a conversation with Rhett and Justin. Well, Justin, here we are sitting down together in the studio for another episode of Armchair Authentic. And what's really cool about today is just you and me, man. We're going old school, how we started this thing. I mean, over the past few weeks, we've been so blessed to have incredible friends come on the episodes and just share their story and really try to get the story behind the story.
Yep.
And that's been a lot of fun, man.
It has. And we'll get back to it again next week.
Yes.
But we're learning our little formula because we love our hangout time. And we also love people learning about the people that we're connected with and their stories. So expect more of us, expect more of them.
Well, a lot of time has gone past, and I've had people ask me, hey, man, I know you've mentioned the weight loss journey, and we haven't gotten an update lately. And
we need an update today.
And so, I mean, I'm really blown away by it, honestly. I shouldn't be. I mean, it's no surprise when you begin to take steps and you're disciplined in it and you stay consistent over time, what begins to happen. I mean, we preach this, we teach this, and then when you actually apply it to your life and you begin to see the effects of it. So for those who don't know, back in June, I just really felt I was at the heaviest weight I've ever been, and I'm 6'1", and I can carry weight somewhat decently, but I was miserable, man. I would lean over and be out of breath trying to tie my shoes. So in the month of June, I just started drinking a lot of water. I was like, I'm done. I'm just tired of this. I'm tired of feeling tired. I'm better than this.
Yeah.
And so, and I am, I'm better than this. So instead of pointing all my, focus and attention on everybody else, it's like, I've got to flip it and put it on me. And I know we've talked about this so that I can help take care of other people. And so I just started drinking water. I lost 10 pounds really quick, not doing a whole bunch of anything.
Yeah.
Just drinking water. And I know most guys, if you're a woman listening to this, I'm sure that frustrates the fire out of you. Some reason in guys' DNA, we can do that really fast. So 10 pounds dropped really quick. But then I kind of stalemated. I was like, all right, well, I've obviously got to do more because now I'm just at the 10-pound mark. And I was thankful. And I didn't miss soda as much as I thought I would. And I just be honestly, I still drink probably one a day. But I'd started just water intake. And I really didn't go like all healthy on food.
Yeah.
I just was starting to be more mindful.
Portion control.
Maybe. I might have eaten one big meal and then like little meals, maybe. Honestly, it was just like, I don't want to eat at Milo's every day anymore and Chick-fil-A every day and eat at home and Subway and sandwiches and those kind of things. Anyway, don't get me wrong, because I still enjoy food and I love food. But I just it was like 10 pounds really quick. And then I was like, all right, so I need to do something. I can't run. My joints hurt. I'm 47. I got arthritis in my left knee, and I'm like,
I hang out with old people.
Yeah. Anyway, all that to say, an update on my journey. I've lost 16 pounds as of 2 days ago.
Amazing, bro.
I mean, because
amazing.
I think at one of the last episodes where I kind of gave some kind of update, I was like, I'm at 13 pounds and I can't get by it. I'm plateaued.
Yeah.
And it would have been I wanted to quit. I literally was like, okay, I guess this is it. I guess this is my lot. I guess I'm only going to be able to lose this. I can't really run. But I was like, man, I'm walking. Why don't I all I began to think of, I got to change something. I got to add something. So why don't I just add an extra mile?
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And I added an extra mile, added an extra day. Then I started adding weights into it a little bit more. And let me say this about weights. I'm talking like 5 pound, 10 pound weights. I mean, because I'm like, I think this is important for people. No matter what you do, man, have a realistic goal.
Yep.
Because some people might be thinking 25 pounds, that's unrealistic. Well, I don't think it's unrealistic. I thought it was very realistic because I was sitting there thinking, even if I only lose a pound a month or 2 pounds, I mean, in 12 months, it's 12 pounds, right? And so I'm sitting here thinking, if I don't hit that, it's okay. At least I've lost some. But what I'm going with this is I wanted to set a realistic goal and something that I could sustain. And I didn't want to come out the gate trying to walk 10 miles every day. I was like, dude, that's unrealistic.
It'd be miserable too. You'd stop. You'd
exactly.
Give up.
So I started walking to the mailbox. Then I walked past the mailbox. Then I walked down the street a little bit more. Then I walked around the street. And then there's a huge hill in my neighborhood. And I was like, all right, well, today's the day I'm finally going to tackle this hill. Thought I was going to die. literally like, I mean, it was horrible. And now I'm doing it every day.
I remember we'd be on phone calls and you were like, hey, I'm going to, you go ahead and start talking now because I'm about to go up a hill. So I can't talk back.
I was like, you keep, keep talking because you're about to lose me for the next 10 minutes until my heart rate and, you might go ahead and call 911 because
I mean, you were breathing so hard. I could have received CPR on the other end of the line and been saved.
Yeah, really, absolutely. And that's just that's the honest truth. And all that, I guess, all I'm trying to say is update 16 pounds. And I'll tell you, man, every day when I get to the top of that hill and then I'm starting to come around, I'm literally telling myself, I don't care how lame or cheesy or whatever you want to call it, but I'm like, Rhett, I'm so proud of you.
Yep.
I literally have that self-talk. Way to go. You didn't want to get up this morning. You didn't want to do this. You decided, you had pre-decided this moment right here on the top of this hill, walking this neighborhood. You knew that this moment would exist and you hit it. You made it happen. I'm proud of you. And literally every day I tell myself I'm proud of myself when I do it.
It's good.
I don't beat myself up if I don't. And I mean, when I first started, it was like a little bit by little bit, 1 mile, then 2 miles. And now I'm up to 4.5 miles a day. It's like 6 days a week.
It's like you're giving yourself these positive affirmations, but also if you can see what I'm looking at, Rhett has a calendar set up where it's one of those calendars you can just kind of erase it, dry erase board.
It's a wall calendar. Yeah.
And so I see the markings that you've done where you've literally written down every measurable above the actual date so that you know. What is that number, by the way? It is.
So I started in June, and if you think of a wall calendar, you can see the whole 12 months, and I'm looking at the month of June, and every day I'd write down how many steps, and then I've got my starting weight, and then I've got 6,474 steps average in June, and I really didn't do a lot of walking, and every day I've got my steps.
Nice.
In July, I had 6,364 steps average a day. And I didn't do a ton of walking. That's really when I decided I got to do more, right?
Yeah.
And then August jumped up to 8,584 steps average. And on every day I put a W stands for walk, R stands for row. I've got this, it's really cool, man. It's called the Concept 2 Row ERG. I bought it at the beginning of the year and I didn't even start really using it until July because it was like that New Year's resolution. I'm going to do this. And so I walk. At
least you got to it.
I walk and I come in and do this row machine for at least minimum of 5 minutes. And then so I just mark it. I walked, I rode, I walked, I rode. Then when I started doing strength training, I walked, I rode, I did strength training, and in visually looking at it, I'm starting to see and I'm writing down my weight almost every other day. That way I'm beginning to see, wow, okay, look at the progress and look at when the weight began to fall off. It was a month and a half. It took me a month and a half to lose a pound.
Man.
A month and a half to break 13 to go to 14, but then in a week, down 2 pounds to 16. And I'm like, okay, wow, I'm feeling better. And I hope I guess I share this with my friends, my family, our listening audience, just to say, man, listen, you can do it. I mean, the other day it started raining and it was one of those days like I knew it was going to be raining 2 or 3 days. And I told myself, are you really in this? Is the rain going to stop you? Are you is this the moment you fall off the boat? Are you going to get out there and literally, 6:30 in the morning, I'm out. I got my rain suit on and it's pouring and I've got the drops of rain coming off the brim of my hat, just pouring down. People in their cars, it's gray outside. The sun's taking a little bit longer to wake up and people are like, this guy has lost his mind. But I'm proud. Hey, let me say, it's been really nice to get to know my neighbors. I have met so many people. Yeah. I'm not going to say their names, but literally every day when cars pass me, I'm waving and I'm smiling, even if I look like I'm miserable out there walking. Uh-huh. And so people are starting to recognize that's the guy with a water bottle that walks every day.
Yeah.
So I've even had people go, hey, man, I've been watching you. They'll roll their window down and go, hey, another day, way to go. But then there are other people that are walking the neighborhood, generally older people. I've gotten to know them, and I'm getting to know my neighbors, and I'm getting to know their names and getting to know their story because kind of, that awkward moment when you're about to pass somebody. Uh-huh. It's so funny, man, because the first day is like, hey, good morning. And then by the 3 or 4 days in, it's like, hey, my name is, and your name. Yeah. And then, 2 weeks in, you're like, hey, where are you from? And in these little small interactions. And then sometimes you just change your walk direction to walk with them for a minute. Just to go, I just want you to know, there was one guy, January, he started walking, and now he's running 5 miles a day. And I told him, I said, bro, you have been my inspiration. I've seen your physical countenance change, the weight fall off, and hopefully, this time next year, I'll be running with you.
Wow.
And I said, is there ever a day that you wake up thinking, man, I don't want to do this? And he said, every day.
Mm-hmm. Something about pushing through, man.
Well,
Add
thank
me to
you.
your list
Thank you.
because I still want us to do at some point a 5K.
A 5K.
That's
3 miles, right?
Yeah, just over 3.
Well,
maybe 1 mile. Let's start with 1 together.
Well,
we got to run a mile.
I'm not even. The other day I jogged for 20 yards.
Nice. That's okay.
But like I said, I don't. If I started running, I would have quit a long time ago.
Right. You're right.
But I was like, no, I want to walk until I feel like now it's time to jog. I'm tired of walking.
Well, I remember when you lived in Idaho pastoring the church, you got into shape and you were actually starting to run.
Yeah.
And I started encouraging you.
You did.
Hey, get ready and we'll come meet each other in town. And then you had the mishap with what was it?
Man, I was running on the treadmill and my left calf popped.
Yeah,
it was
popped.
It was like my muscle just, I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
And then I started limping. I was like, nope. And
that's got to be shocking. I mean, when that happens and you're not really even overdoing it and you've been taking care of yourself.
I was kind of overdoing it.
Were you?
And that's what I don't want to get into again.
Yeah.
I'm
performance mentality.
I was.
Get out of it. Yeah.
And I was like, and it was a treadmill run too. So I don't know if that's any different than outside, but
I mean, either way, it's the fact that you just keep going and you're doing it the right way now. Because it's the same way. A lot of people think you got to go kill it right away.
You don't.
And some people might do that and it works, but it will burn you out fast. Consistency is key.
In church planning, in doing anything new, and first of all, being brave enough to do something new is huge.
Yeah.
And I was just like, if this takes me a year to do this, one day at a time, one step at a time, I teach this in principles through God's word, and now I'm applying it in a practical way. But I'm like, I don't care how long it takes, but I want to be able to sustain this. I don't want this to be miserable for me. Yeah. And honestly, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. I enjoy it. In fact, now I'm waking up and I'm literally, my body's like, let's go.
Yeah, you're ready.
Like it's a routine now. I go walk, and then I row, and then on the days I need to do strength training, I mark it off the calendar, and I'm like, hey, proud of you, way to go. And it's just like now I can start my day.
Yeah.
In the days that I'm off, like this past Saturday, Sunday, I was off. I was like, I even woke up thinking, I know I'm off, but I need to go do it. But I was like, no, I need to rest because there's something happened that you need to rest. But even my body was like, hey, why aren't we walking? Why aren't we rowing? Why aren't we?
Yeah.
It's already in the routine. And I'm like, this is a pretty cool feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a pretty cool feeling.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it's amazing what happens when you set a goal. You've written the stuff down. You're seeing more of the payoff in this. And hopefully by the end of 2025, we're going to be announcing 25 pounds of weight loss. There's something about setting a goal. I know for us, just another form of a goal. August 2019, this has to do with my wife. So we feel like the Holy Spirit's leading us, really primarily my wife, to go back to school. So a little bit of background. She is a licensed therapist, LIC, I forget all the initials now. Licensed counselor, she was a social worker for a long time, birth mother counselor for like adoption agency, stuff like that. Tons of years.
Yeah.
Helping a lot of people who've gone through different struggles, and she's a therapist, licensed therapist for them. And on this journey, really just to start it with the thought of getting some credits to maybe even contribute in a school and teach, or even come up with really create curriculum, research some of the hours that were needed. She decided to go back to school. And as she's doing that, we really felt, let's just go all the way. Let's pursue your doctorate. And so she started that in August of 19. And she has worked so hard as a mom of 4 boys, so many other things that I could obviously say, keeping somewhat of her practice going as a licensed therapist. And with a 1-year break in the middle, as her and I were praying about some things, potentially transitioning into some things that we thought the Lord was putting on our heart.
Yeah.
And she was just so gracious in letting us really discover that. And she let her mind be cleared. But then we got the answer to that, and we knew our next steps, and we received the clarity we needed in that season. So she resumed. So as far as time, the past 5 years, but 4 working years towards her doctorate, she just at the end of last month, she is officially Dr. Sommer Bradshaw.
Let's go.
Come on.
That's so exciting, dude. She has worked so hard on this.
Man,
I know for
I know.
years you guys have, the sacrifices y'all have made, the investment, the sacrifice, the investment, the sacrifice, all the life things I know you guys have gone through, man. I mean, let's go, Sommer. We're so proud of you. Way to go. The world just got even that much better because of that
It really
degree for
did.
her to open her up and have an opportunity to serve people in a new way.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, it's
come
blown my
on,
mind
man.
just to
That's
see her
awesome.
at night during the day. Whenever the boys are settled, she jumps in there. She's taking tests. She's writing papers, and then having to ultimately write that huge dissertation, which they'll end up publishing. I mean, it's just so cool how she's getting all that bound right now. So we're going through that process. But just the fact that is over, it really took such a goal from her to set and stay focused and locked in many points that you'd want to give up.
Yeah.
And now we're kind of getting to enter into this next stage of life that, you know, when you've had something on the countdown. And for us, once again, she's worked on it 4 years, but it's been 5 years in time. To now see that done, it's amazing how you accomplish a step and it begins to unlock other steps that begin to light the way. And we're just pumped because there's a lot of things we have put on, as we talked a few episodes back, putting it on the shelf. Mm-hmm. The aspirations that you got to shelf sometimes, they're good things to think about, but you got to look at your priority. And we knew our family, and there was a priority on what she's doing with her doctorate. But now that that's over, we're able to look at that shelf and say, here's a couple of those aspirations.
Yeah.
We're going to pull off and resume. We've done a lot in the past in marriage ministry. And so even us beginning to dream again in that area, and some of the stuff that I do with coaching and consulting, she's able to now have a bandwidth to jump in and assist with that again. So it's fun this time of year thinking, oh my gosh, she has worked so hard. But as her husband, I'm so proud of her. But I'm excited because we're going to step into new phases of dreaming together.
That's so exciting. And what a testament, number one, to your wife, her tenacity, her willingness to be so disciplined to accomplish a long-term goal that she knew it was going to take a long time, but she honestly, it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for her discipline, but also the way that your family served her in this season.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, in a testament to your kids, in parenting your kids and teaching them, like, hey man, mama's got a goal. And it's not just a mama's goal. Like this is what it's going to look like in a few years with our family. And it's going to take all of us to be supporting this. And
absolutely.
And then them to see that and to see that success on the other end of that accomplishment. I mean, what a beautiful parenting moment too for your kids.
Well, and she is the beautiful thing about Sommer is I can remember so many times walking upstairs because I might hear the ruckus with the kids. And sometimes it don't matter how present I am. And I'm a very present dad. No one replaces mama sometimes.
Yeah.
And so she would take so many breaks, so selfless. And I'd see her in her chair, and it doesn't matter how old they are. They'd still be laying in her lap, just like getting their head rubbed or whatever. And she's such an amazing mom, amazing wife. And just to have her accomplish this, I can't describe how proud I am. I never mentioned it earlier in the podcast.
Yeah.
You know, me and Rhett obviously knew about this. I don't ever want to put an undue pressure because I would have been proud if she stopped and had accumulated all these hours. But it is fun because I'll ask the kids at night, I'm like, hey guys, have you ever had a doctor make you dinner before? So we're using the word, I mean, she won't use it, but we're using the word doctor a lot. I mean, we took her out to a Japanese steakhouse to celebrate the night she defended her dissertation. And we went to a Japanese steakhouse and, you know, they normally sing happy birthday. They're like, is this anybody's birthday? And we're like, hey, she got her doctorate, you know, and they're like, happy birthday. Because I don't think they understood what I said. But, you know, we took that as like a congratulations.
Oh, that's fun.
You know, they didn't come crashing in with the song, happy birthday. But yeah, so I'm so proud. So proud. So if you live in the Birmingham area, or if we travel to the area you're at, if you see Sommer, just give her a good old congratulations to Dr. Sommer C. Bradshaw.
Dr. Sommer, we are now officially putting out our request to you to be a guest on our podcast.
Oh,
so this is the official invite from
Send it, Rhett. That way it won't seem biased.
No. So if you're wondering when we're going to hear from her, well, we'll see. So the invite is there, it's out there, and we can't wait to have her in the studio and to hear all the wonderful stories that she can tell from her perspective on it. But that's
absolutely. And she would love to come be a guest. And also she would have so much insight. I mean, in so many areas.
Oh man,
so
absolutely. I've got so many questions, and she can.
Oh, bro.
We can do a counseling session for me. I know that
counseling. That will be her payment.
You know,
it's like, we'll give you some exposure on the podcast.
This episode brought to you by Dr. Sommer Bradshaw.
Right.
Well, now it's time for the books and all the other wonderful things that come along with that.
A lot of things. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Well,
let it happen as it happens.
I'm just being prophetic. All I'm doing is speaking to things that aren't in calling it, as though
you're
they
right.
are.
You're right.
So
you got to steward well.
Hey guys, want to jump in on this conversation real quick and remind you, if you haven't rated and reviewed the podcast, could you take some time to do that? Man, it really is an encouragement to Justin and I. And more than that, it is a great way that we can serve those who aren't on this journey yet. Please follow us on Instagram or Facebook at Armchair Authentic, or even on X at Armchair Auth Pod. That's Armchair AUTHPOD. Armchair Auth Pod. Now back to the conversation. When Justin and I were talking about, recording this episode, we really were kind of bullet pointing a few things. And one of the things we literally just finished up with was our men's group. And,
oh, man.
Some people call them small groups, life groups, whatever. We just call them our, the fellas.
We just hang out with the fellas.
It's been, dude, I mean, anytime a new season comes up, you're always a little leery. Not you, I am. I'm like, okay, do I really want to get into this? I know I need it and I preach it and I know the power of it, but do I really want to take that step? And I'm really glad I did, man, because man, just I call it the sovereignty of relationships, the way the Lord just puts people in your life. And he's like, listen, thanks for taking this step. I knew you needed this relationship and I knew you needed this encouragement. And it was just a great hang. We're like, 2 weeks, 3 weeks into it now?
Into this next new installment, because really for us, what it is, it's almost like me and you, we were hanging out over coffee anyway.
Yeah.
And we decided, let's jump in whatever's happening anyway, because people are searching at the church that we attend. Mm-hmm. People are already searching for groups.
Right.
So let's go ahead and see if any of these guys want to connect. And earlier, we talked about it on earlier podcast. You'll hear where we had a group before that we would just hang out and have such a great time. All we did was kind of take a quick little break, relaunch it, but then make it available again. And we've gotten a few more. So our group of 2 went from a group of 5 is now like a group of 10. And we're having such a great time.
Solid guys, man. We're talking just solid guys, businessmen, entrepreneurs, creatives, just...
It is the gamut.
I mean, it is really gamut. I mean, they're in sandals and shorts and a T-shirt.
To the 50s age.
I mean, I'm in sandals and shorts and a T-shirt because this specific day is kind of almost like a little bit of off day for me. And there's other guys coming in, in their suits and ties and stuff. And we all
looking good, man.
We're all having a good time, man.
Yeah.
And
you can always tell who like the creative entrepreneurs are like you, because you'll just come in like you've been at the beach.
Well, that's who I am anyway. I mean, that's
you and
just,
another guy, one of our buddies.
Yeah.
Y'all come in just looking all cozy and comfortable. I'm like, is that the dream? Might be.
I'm not a suit guy. I'm not a suit and tie guy. I'm not a blazer guy. And I refuse. I just can't do it. And I'm nothing against those that do, man. That's awesome. Yeah. I get it.
I pop it on every now and again as a way to honor a certain moment.
Well, I'm always wearing black too, for the most part. Like 90% of my wardrobe is black t-shirt, black pants, black t-shirt. And those who are close to me give me a hard time. They're like, all you wear is black, man. You got anything else? In fact, when I go and teach or preach or whatever, I'm 90% of the time wearing black. And even my pastor friends and people in Idaho and other places, they're like, man, you're going to come in wearing black like Johnny Cash, just who you are. And so I've changed.
I love looking like Johnny Cash.
I say that to say that I really throw people a curveball every once in a while, and I'll come in wearing like a tan pants with a white t-shirt, and they're like, bro, who are you?
Yeah.
I can't, like, this is like Mark the other day. And then when I was in Idaho the other day, nobody, they looked at me and they didn't say anything. And I said, I'll go, can I speak about what you're thinking about right now? I wore this to throw you off. And they were like, well, I was thinking it, but I wasn't going to say anything. I was like, no, it's fine. I wear more than black. I do.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you're talking about
the same thing. I'm not a shirt kind of tucker.
Oh, I can't
But
stand tucking
my
in the
goodness,
shirt.
I will just walk in some days and I will have that polo tucked in.
Yeah.
I mean, just no reason at all. And it throws people off.
I think the last time I tucked in a shirt was when I was wearing a suit, but I had a jacket to cover it because, I'm like, there's a certain point when your stomach is just like, it doesn't need to have a tucked in shirt. And so I'm a
Not
very,
you though, bro. You're 25.
16 down, baby. Let's go. That I would say, like, I think that's probably why I don't like tucking shirts. So I will get there again. So when you see me starting to tuck my shirt in, I'm confident again. But I'm like,
level.
the confidence is back.
Yeah. It's like the TV evangelist.
No.
And they're talking about, you got to live a disciplined life.
Can we talk about it? I mean,
let's
seriously.
live a disciplined life before the Lord.
Brother.
As their two hands are resting on their belly.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about self-control.
I mean, can we be any more authentic? I mean, literally, I'll get, I listen, man, I don't judge anybody and we're all on a journey, but my goodness, I think we need to talk more about those type of scenarios because, man, if you're preaching to me about self-control, well, let's look in the mirror, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm speaking to myself. I haven't been great at self-control in those areas. I mean, with stress and eating and stress and not working out, I mean, it just happens. Your metabolism slows down. Life does. But I just think, man, self-control goes in all directions.
Yeah. Just like everything you're telling me mentally or awareness-wise, I'm also sure you must be working on this for yourself now in this other area, surely.
It's like reading a book that somebody wrote on parenting who is not a parent. I'm sorry.
It's true. Yeah.
Right. Yep. Really. I mean, and the people do that all the time. They're like, they're an expert in an episode, anyway.
That's true. Yeah.
Don't get it with I was literally about to say, you get me on a soapbox, but the men's group, I got into an interesting conversation with Josh today. I don't say his name. We were just talking. I don't know how interesting it is, but it was about parenting. And he's got a younger kid and I've got a 16-year-old and we were just talking about raising kids, and I just think, I don't know, this didn't happen for me. I love my dad. He's a great dad. He did the best he knew how. And Dad, shout out to you. I love you. But we're all we're all growing. And I don't know, man, that moment where God, let me back up. That moment where we see in Scripture where Jesus is water baptized, and then he comes up out of the waters right really before his ministry began. It says the Holy Spirit descended upon him like a dove. And then there's this voice from heaven, and we have God affirming Jesus and simply saying, I paraphrase, this is my son, I love him, and I'm proud of him. And this is my son, whom I love, and in him I am well pleased. That is simply an affirmation from God to Jesus. And Jesus lived his life in a way to demonstrate the love of the Father.
Yeah.
And I look at that as a purely parenting moment for us as fathers, the importance of speaking life and affirmation over our kids. And so I was telling Josh, I said, man, one of the things that I've adopted from that point in Scripture was that I always wanted my son, no matter good, bad, ugly, no matter the situation, every night, every day, really, but every night when we do our bedtime routine, I want him to hear from me, you're my son, I love you, and I'm proud of you. Even if there were mistakes made and there's some tension and we're trying to grow through some areas in those moments, it's like, despite that, my love is unconditional. You are my son.
Yeah.
I love you and I'm proud of you. And we have been doing that routine every night that I've been home. There's never been one night when I'm home that I haven't said that.
Yeah.
And it's powerful. And the reason I want to do that is because I always want my son to know who he is.
Yeah.
And so this parenting thought we were talking about is when someone knows who they are, then they make decisions based off that. So it's like having vision for your life, right? And as kids, our job as parents is to create that vision for their life and their future. And, if you're a man of faith or a woman of faith, our role is to speak what God says about our kids over our kids. And I just want my son to know, look, you're a man of God, regardless of what the world tries to tell you, regardless of what you even think in your mind right now, or what you believe about yourself. Here's the truth. You're a man of God and you're my son. I love you and I'm proud of you. Because he's 16, he's a junior, he'll be a senior next year. We're already talking about college.
Crazy.
And it's one of those moments to where he's going to step out of this house into this world. And when the world hits him in the face with the wide is the road that leads to death and destruction and the craziness and all the other stuff, right? I don't even have to mention, but narrow is the road that leads to life and godliness. When he's faced with that, I want him to remember, hey, you're a man of God.
Yeah.
I'm a Barden. My dad loves me and he's proud of me. I know who I am.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make the decision that leads toward life and godliness. Not to say he won't make mistakes, but even in through that, he'll be reminded, I know who I am. And I just want that to resonate with him. And I just think if you're a parent listening, whether you're a single father, single mother, or, married family unit, blended family, I just think it's good to reflect on our responsibility to go, the world's not going to speak it. And it's our responsibility to speak into their life. And as I was sharing that with Josh, he was sharing some things with what they do. And it was iron sharpening iron for one moment. It was encouraging, but it also brought life back to me to go, hey man, I still got 2 more years of this. I'm going to continue to do it. And, so I'm excited.
Well, and also when you're thinking about raising kids, we as parents don't have to have the answers. Mm-hmm. And there are times that people think, well, I gotta be able to tell them the right answer. And some of my most effective time in parenting, I don't really know what to say, but I do know there's an expression I want to give. And, I've had one of my boys, for instance, and this ranges from all their ages, and there's something wrong and it's really tough. And it would be easy to immediately minimize and say, come on, get it together. Everything's gonna be all right. It's not a big deal. Well, guess what? It might actually be a huge deal to them.
So good.
And I can't just say, no, that's not a big deal. But some of the most effective things I've ever done is when I don't know what to say, I've literally grabbed them and laid on the bed and just let them lay on top. And there are no words. There's just embrace. Mm-hmm. And those, you can feel the connection happening. No words are being said, but we are having the greatest conversation. And they might get up, and whether they act like they like it or not, they get up and they go in there. But it's helping them learn to grieve, by the way, whatever this thing that happened was. Let them cry. Let them get it out.
Yeah.
But also let them know, hey, I'm here for you. I'm not going to try to fix this, but I'm going to grieve with you a little bit. As your dad, as your mom, I'm going to hold you in this situation, not to solve anything, but just to give you an embrace so that now you're ready to step back and go into your room, carry out the rest of your day.
Yeah.
Those little seeds, the next time they're dealing with something, it's that reminder of it's okay not to be okay right now.
Yeah.
But I do have the strength to actually stand and be steadfast in this moment because this will pass. But it not in a way of it's been negated. It's very valid. It's very important what you're going through.
I wish I would have learned that a long time ago. That's something that I would say probably in the past 5 years is something that I begin to at least gain somewhat of an understanding of how important it is to be able to connect emotionally. And now I know we say that out loud. You say the words and you already know how important it is, but to actually know how to do it.
Yeah.
Because I would have probably been I was in the camp of, hey man, it's okay. Everything will be all right. Come on, man. Just pull yourself up. You're going to do it. I mean, life sucks.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's going to hit you in the face. You just got to keep moving forward because that's how I lived my life. And then as I began to get counseling and realize, whoa, wait a minute. I don't even know how to process emotions. No wonder I'm parenting that way. And so, as I've gotten self-discovery, I'm able to walk and do that with my own son or my wife as well. And it's amazing the difference in the relationship, in the intimacy, non-sexual. I'm talking about just intimate relationship begins to grow when there's a trust, when I can express my emotions without you trying to fix it or trying to smooth over it and get me to focus on just keep moving, suppress it, know?
Well, what I found is if you A/B test it, the times that I have done what I just described and I just kind of hold them not saying a word and they go back and there's still going to be the frustration, maybe the noise, whatever, versus me having a short fuse and getting frustrated and the picture you can imagine is dad standing there screaming in his underwear because he got woke up and the whole house is quiet in fear because I just laid down my authority and I go back to bed and the house is like crickets.
Yeah.
There's one of those moments. Yeah. If you A/B those, one gave an instant fix, but one's going to carry a much long lasting effect that actually carries a lot more power to it.
Well, we want our kids to be able to come to us. We want their heart. We don't want behavior modification. Like a lot of parents, including myself, like at one time, I was all about this performance mentality, and I just want my kids to behave a certain way because we want that. Like right? But more than that, I wanted their heart. And I wanted the byproduct of their heart, the relationship with God, the relationship with us. I wanted the fruit of that to be, right, good choices and decisions, whether that's in a public environment or a private environment, or the way they handle their emotions or the way they handle frustration. And so as a parent, I've learned now it's like the best thing to do is to be able to go, man, I'm sorry. Like, that's got to be frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
How are you feeling with that? Rather than jump to conclusions.
Yeah.
Like, how are you feeling? What are you processing? Man, that sucks. I know that that's hard.
Yeah.
And allow them, and just to be able to connect on the relational level with them, for them to go, yeah, it is hard.
Yeah.
It is difficult, and it is painful, and it is something I need to grieve. And even if it's a correction, like, hey, I need to correct you here, and I just want you to know that the byproduct of this correction, I'm not trying to tell you how you're going to feel, but you could feel angry, you could feel worried, you could feel anxious, you could, whatever it is, but like, it's going to be okay. It's okay to feel those things.
Yeah.
That's natural for you to feel those things. And I want you to be able to talk to me about it so that I can walk with you through it. And it just builds so much trust. When people can trust you with their emotions, man, I mean, they'll come to you, they'll open up to you because you're not judging them. You're walking with them.
Yeah, because this is a friend thing.
Yeah.
Everything we're saying on parental stuff, which nothing will match the parental side.
Of course.
But this same approach works even with friends, just to listen to them and not negate what they're going through, or give something that would make them say, you get over it already.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I kid when I say we got to stop Christianizing our, emotions away. And what I'm trying to say is stop trying to fix people's problems immediately with a quick whip of a verse. All things work together for the good of those who love Jesus. I know you just lost your wife and you're not figuring it out. All things work together. Like, okay, that verse is true, but now in this moment, that's not what they need to hear. They know that.
Yeah.
What they need to be able to do is, man, I'm so sorry. I love you and I'm here.
Yeah.
And
learn to exist in the discomfort of that moment, because it's going to be very uncomfortable. And if you can learn to just exist in the mess, you're helping people way more than you could ever imagine.
Absolutely. Now there will come a time, and you'll know it because they'll invite it.
Yep.
They'll say, "Hey, man, like, what does God's word say about this situation in this?" Or they'll really open up and ask you for help, and you're like, "Listen, man, I know this is tough, but I'll just remind you that God's word does say, as hard as it is, all things do. No, it's not that He's caused it, but the broken world we live in, somehow, some way, if we'll continue to trust in Him, He can work out the worst painful situations, the ash moment, and make beauty from ashes."
Yeah.
It's my story. It's all our stories.
And we've talked about in a previous episode, you get the setback turned to a setup. And that's one of the highlights I have, even in our groups when we're connecting some of the friends that God has blessed us with, that we kind of have our circle, this group that we're tight with. And, I've been there before, you've been there before, we walk with each other through it. But, a couple of them, they've gone through some setbacks in the previous season, which would seem almost like, man, this is tough. And it is.
It is.
And there was a season to let them, to be the friend to just acknowledge, like, man, this sucks.
That sucks.
Man, I'm sorry.
I'm mad. I'm mad for you. I'm mad with you. Yeah.
I've had some breakfast. I've had some coffees to listen to the frustration. And I love and I'm honored to be on the other end of the conversation where we leave, where nothing was settled. It sure is nice not to meet. I'm tempted to always put a bow on it.
It's because it's like, I don't know why we lean
with
that way.
Positive thought. I want to leave like, oh, I don't remember them talking negative to me. But no, I want to just give them a hug and say, hey, I'm here.
That's it.
And then here's what's cool. We're getting to see this now. Now you're getting the setup happening. And we've seen it both on these cases. What was a setback, you're seeing now them being launched into, something that matches their wiring completely. And there's that sparkle, that twinkle in their eye again. Their personalities altering back to a way that it always was before they had to get locked into a previous season, and the energy it took to try to pull off what they're trying to pull off. Now you're getting to see them dream again, and not just dream in a whimsical kind of way, but they're dreaming in the sense of probably things the Holy Spirit's been calling them to, and now they're getting to step into it. So now we're on the other end. We had the grieving convos, but because we were patient through that, we're now a part of the wellspring conversations of what God is actually doing right now. And really everything that we're talking about on this last part with relationship, I mean, we've got a phenomenal conversation coming up next week with a great friend of mine and now a friend of yours, Rhett, that you're now connected with.
Yeah.
And we're so excited. We're going to be having Lee T. Baker joining us on the next episode of Armchair Authentic. So we hope you just get ready for what he has to talk about, because you'll find inspiration, and it might even give you some of that encouragement to step out in some of the things that God may be putting in your heart. And you got to assess and audit your current stage of life right now.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. He's a singer. He's a songwriter. He's worked with Grammy Award winners. I mean, this is an artist. This is an artist.
Oh yeah, all the way.
And it's a lot of fun. And we've really, I'll tell you, just if I can speak for a moment on the interview stuff, it's been really great to kind of broaden our scope and welcoming people into, you know, our podcast family and making people aware. I mean, you know, the Jason Standers, MLB player, you know, Mr. Talkbox in Nashville and what he's been doing. And, you know, it's really cool to be able to just meet with friends and be able to share their stories. And really can be honest, some people are probably like, well, I thought this podcast was just about you and Justin. Honestly, no, like it really...
Our relational connections.
That's really never been the story. The story's been we want to have real conversations about real life with real people. And we wanted to take you on a journey of first getting to know us a little bit more, walking down our journey and our story. And now we've done that. And we're going to continue to do that, even like we're doing today. But we also want to... a part of our story and our journey of the relationships and the people that we've met and the ones we haven't met yet. And to serve them and to serve their story, to serve your story. And that's what it's all about.
On the next episode of Armchair Authentic, a conversation with singer, songwriter, and artist Lee T. Baker.
I did have all of these instances, and obviously I had been through a huge transition in my life, and there were just, you know, emotions and ideas and things I wanted to express that were piling up. And so as I was writing, I noticed like a thread. There's this Chinese concept you probably heard of, paper tiger. It's like somebody who pretends to be strong, but they're really not. And so stone tiger is sort of the opposite of that. And having to like be as strong as you seem in a lot of instances of life. And so they're obviously like Astronaut's a song about having the courage to take that step that I did, and all the complexities in my relationships and marriage and life and stuff that came along with it. The Night is a song that's about that anxiety that keeps you up and what it robs you of and the things you really want, you know, in your life. And, you know, the dumb stuff, like you're laying in bed and you're like, dude, am I saving enough for retirement?
Man, we're really looking forward to that episode. But until then, we'd love to hear from you. You can reach out to us at info@armchairauthentic.com. We'll see you next week.